We're live again, back from break.
I got a fresh pack of Chesterfields and I got a fresh beer over here, so
see,
we're doing
well. We needed a bit.
We can watch over the rod.
Sir, we needed a bit of a refill, and we also found something fun.
Wait, what? Oh,
I can hear
Can
it.
you?
I can, yeah. Balloons.
It's just balloons. That one's probably not nearly as creepy as what we had earlier, but that's okay.
yeah.
So,
At least that one doesn't have us talking over.
yeah, exactly. We were talking over the previous Loom call because we couldn't hear it.
Oh,
so
we
sorry.
thought he was looking for the file.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so anyway, folks, we're having great discussions in this final part of Pet Sematary.
Cemetery.
I gotta say,
Yes. What were you saying about Zelda, Brett? You were saying that you felt that was fine.
Yeah, it didn't really bother me at all because it's just like I felt like she served exactly what her purpose was. Like I don't feel like
She did.
I don't feel like getting to know her character more would have really accomplished anything other than, you know, quelling our desire to see this little girl not in a bad state. But this book's not really meant to feel comfortable. Like she was supposed to be that, and we're supposed to kind of also feel Rachel's guilt about basically wanting her sister dead. And I feel like this puts us more in Rachel's state of mind, only seeing her as a demon or as a monster, because at that point, that's all she could see her sister as. It was almost as if, like, her sister is what we are now seeing, like, Gage and Church and the wife as. It's almost like the sister already died. This is a different thing, and I just want it over, you know? And even though that's really uncomfortable to think about, especially about a family member and a young girl, I feel like that's what kind of makes it feel so creepy and awkward, and I kind of like that.
Yeah, I agree with that. She definitely served her purpose well. And like you said, you know, the readers necessarily don't need to get that backstory. That's not really central to the plot of Pet Sematary. I guess the only reason that it bugged me was because maybe, you know, I was kind of drawn from my own experiences, and I grew up in a house where I had my brother was really, really sick, and he even had kind of a minor version of a very, very minor version of spinal meningitis. He had scoliosis, where his spine would kind of devolve a little bit, and there would be times where he would be very, very, you know, in a very bad mood, and he would be very depressed, and that would obviously sink over to the caregivers, the people who were caring for him. But I guess the difference is the thing that kind of took it out for me as a reader is that Rachel always saw her sister as a monster, whereas in real life Rachel would have known that there would have been a good side to Zelda and a bad side to Zelda.
Yeah, but I think,
and I guess that from my own experiences, that took me out of the reality.
But I think you also have to keep in mind that I understand that you have experiences with it, but like your experience is, I mean, you know, I met your brother. Like he had times where he may have had times where he was in extreme pain and a little difficult, but he also had times where he was fantastic and beyond fantastic. You know, every time I ever met him or hung out with him, he was always fun to hang out with. You know. I don't think she ever got that break from the hell. You know, she never... it seemed like towards the end that she almost forgot. Like I said, it's almost like her sister's already dead. Yeah. Like me drawing from my personal experiences, like sometimes you can just feel like they're already gone because like Alzheimer's runs in my family, and I've had to deal with a lot of people slipping into that. And there can be years where this person is completely difficult and doesn't even know you and doesn't even remember you, you know, and I've never wished that they died, but you can kind of come to grips with the fact that, well, they're basically already gone, you know, and you're not really wishing for your sister to die. You're wishing for whatever this is to be, you know, gone possibly.
For the pain to be, for the misery
to be done. And you also don't want to see them in that state. But,
Yeah, you bring up a good point, Brett. Yeah, that's true.
I left for a moment to grab a beer, and I came back in some deep
shit.
Deep shit.
Yeah, deep shit.
Holy
yeah.
hell. Well, folks,
yeah, man.
If you haven't figured it out, Stephen King is definitely writing about some real shit.
Yeah.
That we all, as you probably have in your own personal lives, experiences. And it comes down to this fact that you got to deal with this massive grief, but what if there is this strange power, and what if there is this weirdness? And that's where Stephen King, even in the beginning of the book, I think he quotes it, he's in his intro, he's like, sometimes it's better to just be dead.
Right.
Is kind of what he says, right? It's like...
That's even the catchphrase of the movie as well. That was like the poster catchphrase. Sometimes it's better dead.
Yeah. Sometimes dead is better.
So that's it.
Yes.
That was it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sometimes dead is better. Lewis.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I gotta go. I'm gonna temporarily take us out of the deep because I'm curious about a few things.
Okay.
I was not ingrained into the conversation enough to be partaking. So, favorite character?
Ooh, good question. I know mine already.
Mine's Judd.
Yeah, Judd Crandall. Yeah. Cheers to Judd Crandall. I second that.
To Judd.
Judd. The reason I gotta say Judd's my favorite character is there was some magic that Michael C. Hall was able to bring out of that guy in his performance.
Yeah.
But I could imagine it in reading. In anything, really. Just... And obviously Stephen King, who wrote him.
Yeah.
So that guy just seemed real. And hard. Like, just...
Yeah, agreed.
I was sad to see him go.
Yeah.
Yep, me too, man. Me too. I wanted him to somehow get that scalpel away from Gage and
I know!
save the day.
I was like, now's your chance! Get that
I know. It just wasn't in the cards.
Dude, in that scene, I kept envisioning. Have you guys ever seen the movie Child's Play?
Yeah, with Chucky.
Yeah, that's like what I kept envisioning during that scene. Just like this little midget with a knife or whatever.
Scalpel.
Dude, the best thing about that, the entire thing, and Stephen King just like totally caught us off guard, is Judd gets up and he's like, shit. I've been sleeping too long, crap. And then he's like, oh, there's a cat. Oh, I know what's coming. He kind of knows it's like in his mind. And then he basically is like, bring it on, you little motherfucker. And he basically says that, and I'm just like, yes, take him down, Judd, make it right. And then he just loses. I'm like, no.
Judd,
it definitely makes me think
did go down fighting.
He did.
It definitely makes me think that you were probably right, though, Jeff. Like, he seemed completely okay with taking this thing on.
No,
he probably has before. He probably...
Did you see what the thing said? He's like, you fuck with me, I'm gonna fuck with you, man.
Yeah, exactly.
They had like a
I didn't catch that when I was reading it, but as soon as you said the quote, I'm like, oh yeah, well that makes sense.
Oh no, the story that Judd told to Lewis, I got the feeling later, there was way more. And it goes back to Lewis saying, has there been a human ever buried up there?
Yeah.
And Judd's like, don't even go there.
Yeah.
You know, he had that, and Lewis is like,
of course not.
I know that Judd was saying that, but also I know a lie. Like, that was a straight up lie.
Yeah.
And I got the feeling that it was not just a lie about that, but later it was still a lie. It was such a deep thing for him, and a human being buried up there, that I feel like Stephen King was kind of writing a story behind the story that he just was letting go behind there. Mm-hmm. Again, because maybe that's part of the Zelda thing, and part of this is Stephen King seemed very focused on the story at hand in this book, and he only dove into the side stories when it was really part of this.
Right.
Again, I don't know if that was because he didn't give it the second and third run through he normally does, or maybe he did and it didn't matter, but
the edits.
Who knows? Yeah. But all the same is, there's a lot of stories that Judd didn't tell, and I'm telling you, one of those was him fucking with that son of a bitch probably multiple times in his life.
It makes sense to me. I like that theory, and I'm gonna actually read it again and keep that in mind specifically.
It's interesting, right?
Cool.
Super interesting.
Cool. Yeah, I like that.
I just and I haven't seen the movie, but it just rings a bell that like maybe they got a little inside info from Stephen King.
I wonder if we can get a tweet back from him if we asked him.
Oh, yeah, we're totally doing that.
I wonder if he wants to keep it ambiguous, or if he'd be like, "Yep, you guys are right. He totally burnt it."
Yeah. There's one other quick thing I want to touch on really quick about the ending specifically.
Yeah.
And this pertains to both the book and the movie. And I won't spoil the movie to you guys. But the movie takes it one half step further. But
it does.
It does.
I'm
but
excited.
in the book, and that's all I'm going to say about that. But in the book, there's a very deliberate line that Stephen King puts in there, which you can kind of really infer what it's about. Where it's the very last scene where Lewis is in the house by himself. He's been questioned by the police, and he's just kind of sitting there wondering, like, when are they going to take me to jail?
He's got his
and
hat
he's playing
on,
solitaire.
hiding his gray hair.
Yeah, he's got his hat on, hiding his gray hair, and he's playing solitaire, and he hears the door open, and Rachel comes in.
Yeah.
And he puts down the Queen of Spades. And then that's kind of basically... And then she just, like, puts his hand... Rachel puts her cold hand on his shoulder and says, "Darling." And that's, like, the end of the story.
Yes, that is.
And that's really, like, oh, my God, that's so intentional. Like, that everything that happens there is so intentional. And if you see the movie, you will definitely concur, like, oh, wow. Like, wow.
Yeah.
So,
I gotta watch it.
So I gotta tell you my thoughts about the ending. And this without seeing the movie. I was legitimately terrified out of my mind because Steve left, the only man who could stop the shenanigans that happened.
Yeah,
clearly.
Right.
The Queen of Spades scares me. Spade being in trouble.
Right.
And I am terrified for Ellie.
Yeah.
Because Ellie's in Chicago right now, but now.
Yep.
Now Rachel's there.
Yeah.
And their son's already dead.
But
and Judd's house burned down in a fire.
But unlike, I mean, we only get a split second, but unlike pretty much everything else that has ever come back, it seems, potentially, that the personality is actually Rachel.
I don't agree with that.
Because doesn't she say, like...
She says darling.
Darling.
That's it.
Yeah.
I think that's... She never said darling.
Didn't she? I think she did.
No.
Ooh, interesting. I don't know, honestly.
I'd have to go back and check.
I gotta say, the way that her cold hand and said darling,
well, yeah, she'd be dead.
Oh, shit.
She'd be dead.
I think...
Yeah.
I think that it's about to have some fun.
Maybe.
The movie does take that scene one step further.
Yeah, maybe. The darling did imply that it's a little bit more like it when it came back into Timothy, what's his name?
Oh, I have it written down here. It's,
what the hell? We had it.
Timothy Baterman.
Baterman,
yeah.
When he came back into Timothy Baterman, it was like kind of out there. When it came back as Little Gage, it was straight up intentful.
Right.
Like, there was no wandering aimlessly down a road.
Right.
Almost like every time it comes back, it's a little bit more. So what I wonder is when it came back the third time in that we know of, in Rachel, if the darling and the control is almost like, I'm free, bitch.
Yeah. Oh. It also kind of makes me wonder if all of his like justifying and saying like this time it'll be different because it's going to be quick and it's going to be this, like I wonder if like it got what it wanted and now it raises and like it's actually her.
When it did get what it wanted, it's almost like they said that with Steve because getting what it wanted is something we should keep in mind because remember in Steve's dialogue, they're like, it just let him go.
Right.
Like it lost interest.
It lost interest.
After Lewis made his way up over the hedge.
Right.
But getting what it's wanted and Rachel coming back, I'm viewing as two different things. Maybe getting what it wanted is third time's charm.
Yeah, maybe.
It's totally free.
Right.
Or maybe getting what it wanted means also Rachel could come back. I don't know.
Yeah.
But what I feel is that getting what it wanted was I'm in complete control now and completely free.
Yeah.
Just how I feel. I'm super curious about the movie now.
I just found it interesting that the last entity that it was in, if that's how it works, was Gage, and right before he passed out, real Gage kind of came through. So, like, it seems like you are capable of actually having it work out to where it is
overriding the spirit in a way. That's a very good point.
So it'd be interesting if, like, after all those attempts, after church, after Gage, after all these times justifying to himself, if he does it and it's like, oh, it is her. Okay. Cool. I mean, it's still not going to work out great. It's a cold, dead hand. It's still not going to be a happy ending.
No, I wonder if it's her. They've already lost their son, but they do still have a daughter.
Yep.
So, you know,
there's a chance. The biggest problem with that is that you lose Gage and then you lose your wife in order to bring a terrible version of Gage back.
Yeah.
And then you're going to bring her back, and that being her, I have very, very high doubts about that.
Me too.
So I mean, if you just left Gage in peace, and your wife would still be alive, and you could take care of your daughter, as Judd said, by the way.
Yeah.
And also, Bastard Goldman said that too.
So what about
still
this?
Got a daughter.
So what about this? Do you think that it said darling because it wants to make him think that everything worked out okay, so they can get the daughter back?
I think it just wants like any good horror or vampire movie. It needs one of those creepy Renfields.
Yeah.
Renfield, you asshole! You know, one of those guys.
Oh man! On a side note, Jeff and I watched the movie Dracula Dead and Loving It, starring Leslie Nielsen, like 19 times, and we rewatched that scene over and over again. It was so hilarious when Renfield accidentally kills Dracula in the comedy version.
Spoiler alert!
Oh my god! I'm sorry. I can say that I honestly do love that movie. And,
Dracula Dead and Loving It is hilarious. It's a great watch.
Yeah, exactly, dude. I get a feeling that Lewis may be a growing Renfield in this, but maybe I'm totally wrong. He's all gray already and like,
yeah. Oh god, he's halfway there. He's got the gray hair.
Yeah, he's
his knees all bulged up and his body's like half broken.
All right, guys. Any other topics?
Anything else?
We don't have to be done now. I'm just kind of curious.
I think we may have fully explored everything.
I'm like super interested at the ending of the movie now.
Yeah.
I'm
totally honest about that.
We'll definitely have to watch it.
Darling.
All I have to say is that I will never listen to the song by the Ramones, Hey Ho, Let's Go, the same way ever again after reading Pet Sematary. Every time I hear that song, I'll be like, no, let's not go. Don't go there.
Oh, no. Does he sleep with her?
Let's go.
To that song?
I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say.
I'm calling it. Necrophilia to the Ramones.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Son of a hell.
All right, guys.
I think, that might do it on Pet Sematary.
Pet Sematary.
We may revisit it one day, talking solely about the ending of the movie, I guess. Yeah. But other than that, folks, we've got lots of other goodies coming, and also lots of Stephen King coming in the future.
Yes.
Specifically, I think we need to advertise the Dark Tower on this episode. So, folks, if you like Stephen King, I'm a long fan of the Dark Tower. I love it. Some of the group's going to read it for the first time. Some of us second. Some of it first and some of it second. Literally. Like, we got partway through and we're super pumped about it. And we'll probably have a session discussing the movie. That's a totally different topic, though, as the movie exists on a different level, as any of you who saw it know. So we'll discuss all of it, and we'll start with the Gunslinger at some point. Until then, good cheer.
Cheers.
Cheers.
And, darling.
Cheers. Don't forget to keep your eyes on the rod at all times.
Thanks again for joining us for this episode of Lit Literature. If you liked us, please check out our social media at Lit Literature 1 at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And don't hesitate to join in on the conversation. We appreciate the conversation, the questions, book recommendations, anything of that sort. Join in right on the social media websites. And don't forget to check us out at our website, litliterature.com, and our upcoming projects, though there aren't many now besides Lit Literature, you can find at lyket.net, Lyket. We do have a Patreon account, but if you truly want to support us, please like and share. Cheers.